Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for the State of the Union, which thankfully wasn't canceled by anyone, so I'm very appreciative of that because we have a very functional school district, which I'm very proud of. My name is Jim Hogaboom. I have the privilege of being the superintendent here. This is my 4th year. We will be broadcasting this later. That's why I'm using this mic and we have the screen. So we'll be doing that. We also have Emmy. Thank you for interpreting tonight. So if anyone needs Spanish translation, we have that available. And I really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I know everybody's busy, have a lot of things going on, so I appreciate your taking the time. Hopefully you got a folder in the back with a few handouts. And this wouldn't be possible without a lot of partnerships, a lot of things we do in the district, and we do a lot of work with the Chamber of Commerce. They've helped jointly sponsor tonight. We also work on Leadership Novato that the Chamber sponsors, which we appreciate, and we always have a few people that have participated in that. So we appreciate our Friday night is Paint the Town Red at 6 o'clock, and we know it's already sold out, so that's great news to celebrate Novato's birthday. So with that, I'll turn it over to Coy, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jim. Much appreciated. We're more than happy to co-host tonight with Jim's speech. We do State of the City with City Manager, and we love doing State of the District with Jim as well. Education is extremely important to the business community in Novato. Employees need to be educated. They need to know how to do certain skills. They need skill set. They need all sorts of things. Without good employees, you don't have good business. Without good business, you don't have a healthy town. Because we know that good business supports local schools and soccer clubs and little leagues and everything else. And so without a strong business community with strong employees, you don't have a healthy community and you don't have a healthy town. So we are very proud to partner with the school district, and we are very proud to support anything they do to help educate our kids really good and go on to nice, strong careers, because we know that helps keep Novato strong and Novato healthy. So we're very honored to be here and be a co-host, and we're very honored to hear what you have to say tonight, Jim.
Thanks, Coy. So you can see some of our other partners there, and I won't go over everybody in the audience, but I do appreciate Eric Lucan, our mayor, want to give a wave for being here tonight. We do a lot of things with the city. I'll talk about some housing we're doing with the city. We are working not in our town, Novato, with the city. Greg Mack, one of our school board members. Greg, do you want to give a little wave out there? I think that's all that I see. Thank you, thank you. A lot of other people that I know, a lot of parents that we work with, and really appreciate our partnership. Diane Gasson, our new school board member, she just walked in, so she's going to wave. Her picture will be up later. But probably 99% of you, I recognize your faces because you work with us in one way or another, and we really appreciate that. So again, my name is Jim Hogaboom, and I stand for equity, personal growth, and humility. And that stand is something we ask a lot of our administrators to think about. We learned it at a training we went to called Leading for Equity and Opportunity. And their point is that we all need to know where we come from. We all need to know what our most important values are. And when we're in touch with those values and put those into effect, that's when we have the most impact in the world. So I'm going to come back to that a little bit more. And we're going to talk, these are the kind of the 5 main areas we're going to go over tonight. So the first is, what do we stand for as a district? Who are we? What is new in Novato Unified School District? Our key accomplishments and our key challenges. One of our other board members just came in. Derek Nell, give a little wave. Thank you, thank you. So there we go. See, he even gets a round of applause. That's awesome. Okay, so these are values, our mission, vision, and values we redid probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And our values are really important. They drive what we do. They are what we stand for as a school district. Equity is important in all that we do. Equity to us means just and fair inclusion into a society in which all can participate, prosper, and reach their full potential. Kind of similar to that is inclusion. Ensuring all students are participating fully and not excluded. We want them to thrive and be successful. Caring, displaying kindness and concern for others. We'll talk a little bit about the importance of social, emotional learning in our schools. Collaboration, working together to produce the best results. That is super important, one of our 6 C's. And finally, innovation, trying to do things in a new ways, new ideas, thinking original and creative ways, and producing unique products. So one of the ways that we embody these values is that we, in terms of who we hire, I use the example of Debbie Richardson, who's one of our new, you want to give a little wave back there, Debbie, one of our new middle school principals at San Jose. And the main reason that we hired Debbie, she was a competitive hiring. There was another woman that interviewed for the job, but because of Debbie's innovation skills and we thought about her ability to take that school to the next level, that was one of the main reasons we hired Debbie. So we are looking for employees, whether that's teachers or classified staff or administrators that embody these values. We also stand for our equity and parity, and equity is a little bit different from equality, so those of you who have been to trainings will recognize this. So what equity means is not the same thing for everybody, but that everybody has different needs. And so depending on your needs, people need all kinds of different support. And our job in the school district is to find out what the needs of everybody is and to make sure that we give them the support, the interventions to help them be successful. That picture on the right was from our equity convening last spring. We had about 100 and something people, and that was a student panel that you see me sitting with there. And the students were really sharing some of their experiences with equity in our schools, and it was really powerful. And basically then we had each school on those charts kind of say the progress that they had made. So we take that very seriously. We actually have a written equity imperative, and that tells what we believe in around equity and what our goals are with equity. Our purpose is to engage, inspire, and empower all students in a rapidly changing world to realize their life goals. So that's our motto right behind us. So hopefully we are engaging, inspiring, and empowering our students every day. That's very important. And then our graduate profile, which you can also see up here, and that's in your handouts as well. We worked really hard on that for about 3 years. We got a lot of input from our business community, from our teachers, from our parents and students to say, what are those skills that our students need to be successful in the world today? So we know that content mastery is very important. That's in the middle. That's pretty much always been there. But with the advent of technology and the internet and all that, those skills of communication, critical thinking, conscientious learner, character, cultural competence, and collaboration are really important. So we have rubrics for all those. We give students feedback on that. And we are working so that at different grade levels, students have to demonstrate their proficiency. In 5th grade, we're going towards student-led conferences. 8th grade, we're looking at electronic portfolios. And then as a senior, the seniors are going to have to demonstrate their mastery through a demonstration of those 6 C's. Okay, so who are we? So we have declining enrollment, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. We have about a little less than 7,500 students, 54% white, 36% Latino, and 10% others. We have about 38% of our students that are on free and reduced lunch, which is sometimes surprising to people. About 410 teachers, 360 support staff, and 14 schools. So that's a little bit about who we are. What is new in NUSD? So we have a lot of new faces in USD. So Diane, isn't that fun to see your picture up there? There you go. So Diane is parent of 2 daughters, one at Pleasant Valley and one at Sinaloa. She just was elected to the board. So we're happy to have her with us. She has a lot of experience in our district. She's been on a lot of our financial committees, the parcel tax and things, so knows a lot about the budget, and really looking forward to having you be on the board. So thanks for being with us. Shelley Scott went off the board. She was elected to the county assessor position. So that created the opening that Diane stepped into. So there you are. A lot of new faces upstairs in curriculum and instruction. So Amy Carter is our new assistant superintendent. Jen Larson is the director of ed services. Catherine Naum, who was a coach, is she's also teaching and learning. And then Leslie Smith. Leslie, you're here. Give a little wave. Thank you. Is our equity coordinator. So they're all new. We also have some new principals. So Debbie, you just met. You just waved. Mark Brewer. Mark, give a little wave back there. There you go. Mark came to us. He was principal for a long time in Napa at American Canyon High School, and then he was down little bit in the South Bay, and then came back to us, and we're thrilled to have you. Jennifer Dudley, last year she co-principaled at Lou Sutton with Bonnie Barron. Bonnie has a job at the Marin County Office of Education, so Jen's holding down the fort by herself. And then Melissa Diaz is the principal at Linwood, and she worked up as our EL coordinator before that. We also have new facilities. So thanks to you all for passing Measure G, our $222 million bond measure. We really appreciate that. And very excited about all the work. This last summer, we did some air conditioning at San Jose. We put in new fields for football and soccer and lacrosse at San Marin and Novato High. We have revamped the infrastructure at Olive and Novato High, which is a nice way of saying we redid the sewer and a lot of those little smelly kinds of things. And then we put on a new roof at San Ramon Elementary, which has been long overdue. And these are some pictures. That's the San Ramon roof on the left, some air conditioning, and then the two fields, and then there's our sewers over there on the right. So you get a firsthand look at that, not too close. Starting this summer, we're going to do a lot of great stuff. As I mentioned, the bond measure is heavily focused on our high schools. So most of the work is happening at San Marin and Novato High. That's where the bulk of the dollars, probably about 40%, goes to our high schools. We're starting there. Then we'll move to the middle schools, and then really it's Olive and Linwood that are the two elementary schools that are going to receive the most funding. So this summer is going to be a very hectic one at our school. So if you're there, I'm just telling you now, there's going to be a lot of construction and good things going on. So heads up. San Marin, we have a brand new STEM center, which is going to be beautiful, and a brand new performing arts theater. Originally, we're going to try to remodel the performing arts, which used to be a student services center, but it just wasn't going to work. So we ended up, we're going to rip it down and rebuild it into a smaller, probably about a 250 seat theater. And at Novato High, they're going to redo a sports complex. So softball, baseball, and soccer, lacrosse are all going to have fields. So that's 3 fields. We're going to move the tennis courts because of where the Performing Arts Center is going to be. That's actually going to save us a lot of money on grounds and maintenance as well, because once we put those in, we don't have to water them. There have been a lot of problems with gophers and all that kind of stuff that I'm not going to spend any more time on than we already have. So we're excited about that. Novato High has a beautiful Performing Arts Center, 450-seat theater, which really will be a theater for our community. So it's not just for the school. All of our schools will use that. Talent shows, all that will be able to be in there. They will also have a new science center. And then because the weather's been getting a little warmer, despite what some people say, we are going to be putting in air conditioning at Loma Verde, Olive, and Linwood, and then some more IT infrastructure and classroom furniture that we will start at least infrastructure with our high schools. And you do have there's some pictures you can see over there of Measure G with what's at Novato High. That's San Marin, and in your packet, you also have a mailer that we're sending out that has a lot more details about those as well. And these are some renderings of what those projects look like. So you can see the Performing Arts Center on the left, this for Novato High, this fields, the baseball field, the softball field, and the field for lacrosse and soccer. San Marin High School, the STEM Center up on the top. Yeah, is that the STEM Center or is that no, that's the Performing Arts, I'm sorry, at the top, and that's the STEM Center on the bottom. And then Novato High School, that's the Science Center down there as well. So those are some cool renderings of that. Okay, so district accomplishments. We have a lot of things that have gone on in the district in the past. I mean, I think we already discussed last year, we've done a lot of things with our solar projects everywhere and a lot of those things. This year, as I just mentioned, we're continuing to try to improve our learning environments through our facilities. We just opened this year our dual immersion program at Linwood. We're very excited about that. So that is pre-K, K, and first grade at Linwood, and we will be expanding that every year. So next year we'll go up to 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade, and then eventually it'll probably head over to San Jose. So Ms. Richardson's getting ready for that. Really excited. I mean, being bilingual is a crucial skill that I wish all of our students had, because it really helps you in the job market. We can't find enough bilingual teachers. We can't find enough bilingual administrators. So anything we can do to help our students be bilingual is something we want to work on. And had a great response from our parents with that. Student voice, we take our student voice very seriously. Our student board of trustees are very active. Yesterday we all went to Sacramento for Legislative Action Day and brought our students with us. I think we're the only district that had, we have a student from San Marin, one from Novato High, and one from Marin Oaks. And we do a youth truth survey every year, which hopefully you know about. We interview our students, we interview our staff, and we interviewed our parents, and so they all give us feedback about how we're doing. We started that last year, so we have some baseline data. That's really important, and then we'll ask our students to kind of say, what are we doing well? What do we need to work on? We work with our parents on that as well. Parents tell us, what's working, what's not, and we do it for the district, but also for each school, and then the principals get a lot of feedback on that as well. Teacher housing, we know that it's incredibly expensive to live in the Bay Area in general and in Marin in particular, so we are actually partnering with the city of Novato. We just completed a feasibility study that we just got back to look at a piece of property, San Andreas, over by San Ramon, and we're very excited about that, so we can hopefully make sure that our teachers and our classified staff and some city staff can actually afford to live in Novato, and so we'll be presenting that on February 26th right here for a study session. We're working with the San Marin Improvement Association neighbors, and then we'll be moving forward with that project in the spring. We're also doing an equity audit. So Ed Trust West is an equity organization. They are working with both of our high schools and Marin Oaks to kind of do a transcript analysis of all of our seniors, who's taking AP classes, who's making progress towards A to G, who's not, do a lot of interviews, a lot of surveys, so we can see, are we addressing the equity needs of all of our students, and they will present that report to the board in May, and then from there, we take our learnings and develop an equity plan. So we do a lot of work with equity. We work with the National Equity Project. We work with Epic Education and Nancy Dome. A lot of staff have been through equity training, but we want to make sure that it's making a difference in our schools with our students. One to World is our technology program. Next year will be the last year, so right now it's in grades 4, 5, 6, 7, and I think it's 9, 10, and so the next year we will roll it out so all students in grade 3 through 12 have access to a Chromebook at school, which is really important because that's the way things are going. We just had a social studies meeting today. Do we have any social studies teachers here today? But pretty exciting because National Geographic and some other companies came, and the stuff that they can do and show, whether that's 3D or virtual reality, is pretty amazing. And so having access to technology is really, really crucial. And then finally, negotiations with our teachers union is going really well. We hope to be able to wrap that up in the next couple weeks. We have great partners with all of our teachers union, and so we appreciate the respect and trust. It's been tough times because, as I'm going to show you in just a few minutes, money's been pretty tight, but we do have a great rapport, and looking forward to wrapping that up. So challenges, we do have a few challenges up here. When I was at the Rotary meeting a few months ago, the last question I got was, what keeps me up at night? And really it's that first one there. It's the social emotional health of our students. A lot of our students are under a lot of stress. As you all know, we had 3 suicides last year. We had 5 other students who attempted suicide last year, so we know that that's a big issue. We are spending a lot of time developing wellness plans. We're working on social emotional curriculum in the schools. Marta Posada, can you raise your hand back there? Is one of our newcomer counselors that we hired 3 years ago now. But this year we just hired a partner for her, Karina. And so Marta will be the newcomer counselor at the high schools, and then Karina will take the elementary and middle schools for the most part. Counseling services are really, really important. It's just a tough world these days, right? And it's social media, if not checked, can really cause a lot of problems. And there's a lot of cyberbullying and all that, and a lot of studies. Last month I wrote an article about the emotional health of kids and just the role that social media played in that. So hopefully as parents, you guys are monitoring that. Hopefully you're checking your kids' phones, reading their texts and all that, because it's really, really important. Kind of goes along with safety of students. Leslie Benjamin, you want to give a little wave back there, our Director of Communications, helps us. Bill Welch, right in front of her, works with North Bay Security. Bill, do you want to give a little wave back there? And then we also have 2 new school resource officers this year, so they are all helping us put together safety plans. We just did a drill here in in the boardroom the other day at the district office. Each site is doing a drill with lockdowns and run-throughs, so we're making sure that our kids are safe as much as possible. We just developed a student threat assessment team so we can assess threats at a school and how serious that is. Closing the opportunity gap is a stubborn problem that not only is faced in Novato, but schools in Marin and throughout the United States. So unfortunately, we have some goals around that in terms of the number of kids who are meeting A to G requirements. If you look at some of our suspension rates and who's getting suspended, we're suspending African Americans and Latino students and kids in poverty at a much higher rate than we are other students. Those same groups are not meeting the A to G rate at the level that we want. So we made some good progress 2 years ago, and last year we fell back a little bit. So we're doubling our efforts again with equity to make sure all of our students feel supported and included in our schools so we can make some better progress with that. The other group is our English language learners. And we work with a company called Kevin Clark Consulting, and so kids who need to learn English are getting 45 minutes a day, and we're starting to see some big gains there, so that's a good thing. Special education costs and services. We think we have a fantastic special ed program here. We are not funded by the federal government at the state level and the state level that we should, so I think they fund about 40%, so we're mandated to provide services, which we should, but we basically have about $11 million in our budget that comes right out of the general fund for services that we're required to pay, but that we don't get reimbursed by the state or the federal government. Yesterday up in Sacramento, we were bringing that up with the state legislator, so we'll see what effect that has. And we also asked school services to do an audit of our special education department just to make sure that we have it structured right. Are we providing the kind of services we need to? And we'll be bringing that, their recommendations forward in the March meeting? February 12th meeting. So Yancey Hawkins and his partner, Nancy Walker, you guys want to give a wave over there? Yancey's our assistant. See, look at you, are awesome, see? I like you. They're our business department, and you guys do a great job. And that leads me right into closing the budget deficit. See, I just happened to talk about business, and it led right into that. So I'm going to go into that a little bit because most people think, the economy's going pretty well. We know that we keep hearing there's going to be a recession, but so why do we have a deficit here then if things are going well? The last brutal deficit we had was in the recession in 2008, and I think everybody was quite aware of what happened then. A lot more severe, but if you read the newspaper today, Tamalpais Union is having to cut about $6 million from their budget, and they're a basic aid district, which means they get a lot more funding than we do. But there's three main reasons why we have a deficit. So one is declining enrollment. We have lower birth rates. So basically we have about 500 kindergartners coming in, but our senior class has about, between the two schools, it's probably about 650. So we have more kids leaving than are coming in, and that's been pretty flat, but we're losing about 100 kids a year. We get funded about $10,000 per student, so you can see that losing 100 kids, decreases our revenue every year. In fact, most districts in the state of California are in declining enrollment. The second one is we've had small revenue increases, so we have gotten a little bit of more money. With Governor Brown, that was one-time money, so one-time money is really hard to, we're a people organization, right? About 81% of our budget goes to our personnel. So that small revenue increases has been more than offset by the huge increases in our state-mandated pension rates. So with our declining enrollment and our pension costs, that's wiped out really any new increases that we've had. So this is just showing you a little bit more about our declining enrollment. We used to have over 8,000 students, I don't know, Derek. In our heyday, we had over 8,000 students. But you can see just in the last 4 or 5 years, we've gone from 7,700. This year we have about 7,400, and that's projected to drop down to about 7,300. And I think in a couple years, that's expected to level off at about 7,000 students. But in the meantime, losing 100 students is really difficult on the budget. This is an example of CalSTRS, which is our teachers' payments. And the only, I just wanted to show you this because Obviously, we needed to make sure that our pension plan was financially going to be stable and viable, which it wasn't. So the fix, as you can see, came really not at the result of the teachers. And the PERS, our Public Employees Retirement System, with our classified staff, it would be the same thing. So individuals contribute a little bit. The state contributes a little bit. And you can see from 14, 15 up to 16, now it's flat. So the big burden for solving the pension problems, as you can see, falls on school districts. So our costs have increased dramatically. This shows you a little more. So the gray bar is our STRS increases over the last 5 or 6 years, and then the purple is PERS. So you can see from 2013-14, we've gone from about what, 4,500,000, and we will by 2021 go up to over 10,400,000. So it's about a $6 million increase, about $1 million a year. And once this goes up there, it won't keep increasing, but those costs are still there. So that's another reason why a lot of people don't know about that. Fortunately, Governor Newsom in his budget put a little bit of money towards this to address it. It's not enough, but at least it's a start, and at least he acknowledged the problem in a way that Jerry Brown actually never did. And this shows your ending fund balance. So we had about, in 2010-11, we had an ending fund balance of about 22%, and now that's dropped down to about, what, 10% this year. So we are spending more money than we're taking in, and obviously we can't keep doing that, or pretty soon we're gonna run out of money. So what have we done about that? So 2 years ago, we convened a budget advisory committee of about 40 people, teachers and parents and business people and administrators, and they helped us make recommendations. I think we actually ended up cutting about $2 million, $1.5 million from the budget advisory committee, and then the other was with some class size adjustments. The reductions we're going to need for this next year are about another 1.5 million in addition to that. One of the recommendations from the budget advisory committee was we look into the possibility of maybe closing a school. So this year we looked at us having a school size committee. So they've been meeting. They meet one more time on February 6th, and they're looking at what's the ideal size of an elementary school, what are the benefits of closing a school, what are the cons of that, what does that do on school culture, what are some other things the district can do to kind of try to address the budget deficit. So they'll be reporting out some of the things that they've already talked about. That we'll be looking at is are there some ways to increase revenue in the district? So through marketing, through facilities use. I know we were all ticked off because last year or the year before we got this mailer from Petaluma schools, right? And so we were offended that they were poaching our students down here. But there is some marketing that's effective to let the community know what we're doing. Again, facilities use fees and that kind of stuff we can look at. And then thanks to, again, our community, we get about $4 million in parcel tax revenue. And that's set to come up, I think, in 2022. Thank you, Yancy. So maybe there's a possibility if we can find out what it is that people are willing to help with, maybe we could go out for that a little early. So there's a lot of different things we can do, but it will be painful. Again, if you saw the budget cuts today, it's usually the same kinds of things. So we'll get input from our different groups. We kind of have the list of the items that could be cut. We will put out a survey from February 1st through the 15th and ask our different groups, our teachers, our classified staff, our parents, our students, and our administrators. Here's a list of 40 items. We need 1.5 million. What are the top cuts you would make to do that? And then we'll get that information back, and then I'll make a recommendation to the board in March. We're going to have a special board meeting just to deal with this, so that's not going to be fun. We made a lot of cuts last year. Again, upstairs in curriculum instruction, we cut our student services coordinator, we cut our elementary coordinator, we lost a administrative assistant from upstairs, we reduced our 6 coaches we had, so we've cut staff development, we're cutting back on our consultants. So the cuts, as you continue to make them, get harder and harder. And again, we're a people business, so when we make cuts, that's almost always going to be people. So Yes, see, a deep sigh there. That means we're done, at least with my formal part. You're just great. So it's time to take a stand, and so I ask you what you stand for, and we've kind of talked a little bit about what we stand for as a district, and that's equity. It's the success of all of our kids. We want to make sure that we engage the public, and again, thanks for being here tonight, and that's what it's all about. We try to be open and transparent. You can get a hold of me anytime. My cell phone and my office phone are here. That's our website. That's Leslie, again, our communications person. And then Sally is my executive assistant as well. So if you want to try to get a hold of us, we are here to respond to what you need. And with that, I will open it up to any questions that you have. And I'll ask you to use the mic just because we're recording this tonight. So any questions that anyone has? Yes. Wow. Okay.
But when he said Shelly Scott, she was my gym teacher.
Oh, Shelley Scott was your gym teacher. Well, we will be sure to pass that on. How's gym going? Good. You still do it? Yeah. Heather, you have to have a question. No? Yes.
I have a question, and maybe Emmy can help me with this one. We just had a group come out that was, I don't remember the name of the survey, Emmy, that came to our PTA meeting. But some kind of shocking numbers around drugs and alcohol use in Novato came out. And I don't know if you want to talk about that. I think for us, even at the 5th grade level, it was something like 20% are using drugs and alcohol. And I think apart from anything else, it was really shocking as a parent. And so I wonder how that factors into what you're looking at moving forward.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So again, kind of the social emotional health of kids. Was that the Healthy Kids survey? Okay. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, and we also have a group that I didn't mention called Healthy Novato, which is a partnership that Evie Zarowski, who's our kind of heads up all the Healthy Novato stuff for us. So we do partner with the North Bay Community Services, used to be North Bay Novato Youth Center. We work with the YMCA, we work with the Youth Leadership Institute, and we used to have a Blue Ribbon Coalition around drugs and alcohol use, so they've kind of taken on looking at that. Vaping, as I'm sure most of you know, is a huge problem. If you ask school administrators, Gabe and Debbie and Mark and Bill, is that vaping one of the top major problems in school? There you go, middle school and high school. And it's so, they market all these flavors of vape, whether that's cotton candy or popcorn or cherry. Some of them don't have nicotine, but most of them do. You can also put marijuana resin in there, and it just heats it up super quick. So really be careful with that, because while smoking is really socially unacceptable now, which is great, it's been totally replaced by vaping. So the tobacco companies know how to do that. So we have a lot of seminars. We have a lot of parent seminars about vaping in particular. We just got a grant from the state to help us with some resources with that, so we can put some machines in the bathrooms, because they're really hard to detect. Kids will sneak into a bathroom, they'll fire that thing up, take a few puffs, it's really quick, you can't really smell it, and they're out. So we have some machines that we're gonna put in all the bathrooms to help monitor that. So we're trying to do as much education as we can. North Bay Security also has a person that goes around to our schools, and she talks to our students about drugs and alcohol and cyberbullying and all of that. So again, we've increased our counseling at our schools, so it's kind of a full-on effort, but a lot of it is education for parents and for students, because a lot of parents don't really get how those vaping machines and things work. So we're doing a middle school speaker series that we'll be continuing on with in the spring. So it's never enough, but those are some of the things we're doing. Yes.
One time I saw on Brain Pop, and it said that there was this paper on Brain Pop in it, and it said stop smoking and start vaping. But then and then he says even though that cigarettes have nicotine, vaping the thingy still has nicotine.
Yeah, so it's just something to be careful with. It looks kind of innocent. It looks, again, with all these flavors, people don't realize that there's a big problem, but there definitely is. Any boosters questions? I'd like to thank the San Marin boosters. You didn't ask, but the lights are in at San Marin. We could not turn them on because we don't have approval from the judge. There was a group called the Coalition to Save San Marin that filed a lawsuit, and the judge considered both sides, and so he has been waiting for about 2 months to make a decision about whether we can turn them on. The group claims that we didn't file the environmental impact report the way that we should have. So the worst really is that it will be delayed and we might have to recirculate that, but we're just waiting to hear what he says. But the lights are in. They've been on kind of during the day, and because we can't turn them on at night, they are very targeted and very specific. I just want to thank you guys because that money did not come out of the school bond. That money came out of a facilities fund that we have that can only be used for facilities. But we put in $600,000, and the San Marin boosters raised another $600,000. That's incredible, and we really thank you guys for that. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you. Yes, Emmy?
Now that you're talking about lights, I've noticed that some schools at night that now we're doing things at nights like school parents orientation and things, the schools are too dark inside and outside. So is any chance that you had contemplated something in your budget to put lights on or anything like that? Just a question.
Yes, we've heard that from a few of our campuses. At San Marin, there is egress lighting, which is going in as well, which helps people as they're walking away. And I know you're talking about other schools, whether that's Rancho or Lou Sutton. So we'll make a list of that. So Mike is the guy that's really our executive director of facilities. So Yancey's going to add that on his list. But I know, so I've been some of our places at night too. It is dark, so we need to make sure that we revamp that. In fact, some of the parking lot here is a little bit dark, so thanks for bringing up that concern. Coy, do you have a question or comment?
Graduation rates, what are the graduation rates, and do they vary by ethnicity? And where are most of the kids going when they leave here? Are they going to JCs? Are they going to universities? Are they picking any particular fields? And how do you compare to other districts in those stats?
So that's a great question. I think our graduation rate is about 96%, which is pretty high overall, and that's pretty comparable to Marin. But with our opportunity gap, if you look at our subgroups of African American students, our Latino students, our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and probably our English learners, that graduation rate is lower. So we have a lot of work to do to make sure that why is that and what can we do to help support all of our students. A lot of our students go on to either a 4-year or a 2-year college. We have a lot of our students go on to either Santa Rosa JC or College of Marin. A very small number of our kids go into the military, but I would say it's probably about 70%. We are lower than probably Southern Marin, especially the TAM district is what I'm thinking of. Santa Fe and Novato are pretty comparable. The number of kids they have in poverty and some of the kids of color that they have is fairly equal to ours, and so probably even higher. The TAM district is they get a lot more money than we do, for one thing. So we get about $11,000 per student. The TAM districts probably get $16,000 or $17,000 per student. So people wonder why we aren't as competitive with Southern Marin, and it's because of that funding inequity. Yancey says more. And if you go to places like Reed or Ross or Kentfield, they could be getting $20,000 per student. So that's one of the reasons in terms of salaries why we can't compete. But our students, I think, overall are doing really, really well. But that doesn't mean we don't have some work to do. That's a great question. Yes, Karen Valentine, Adult Education Coordinator.
Well, that's actually what I wanted to say is just kind of, give a shout out to the district that they do support adult education so that some of those students that don't finish on time for whatever reason can transition over to adult ed and earn a high school diploma as well. And then we also have the opportunity for those who need a GED or a high school equivalency to be able to earn that as well and to transition them into the community college and work.
Yes, a couple questions over here. And while I'll do that, I will just say Catherine is I guess your title is president for School Fuel. So School Fuel is one of the great resources we have in our district. They raise thousands and thousands of dollars. Tour Nevada, which is our big bicycle event, is coming up on May 4th. Thank you. I knew that. I was just making sure that you did. So we hope you guys will be participating in that, and thanks for all your support.
My question was about the declining birth rates. What is that based on?
So it's basically been pretty flat for about the last 5 years. So sometimes people will say, well, are you losing kids in elementary schools? Are you losing kids in middle schools? Are you losing kids in high school? It's really that difference kind of going through our systems where people are having fewer kids. You want to answer that, Mr. Hawkins?
The statistics come from the county of Marin. Back in 2007-8, and for the few years before that, we were seeing about 2,800 births countywide. Is it linked with the Great Recession? Maybe, but in 2009, that dropped to 2,300 births a year in the county, and it stayed with very stably from then till now. So we assume, obviously, we get about 25% of the kids born in Marin County 5 years later. So if we got 25% of 2,800 kids every year, and now we're getting 25% of 2,300 kids. So that ratio has stayed the same. The only change has been the number of births. We only look at Marin County because that's the only one that we have a direct correlation in terms of our kindergarten population 5 years later. Yeah.
There's actually a study that shows nationwide we're at like the lowest we've been in over like 30 years. So it's
Yes.
there is a study that shows that nationwide the country is at its lowest birth rate that it has been in over 30 years. It was presented, I believe, last week or a week before, but if you Google it, the whole nation is just not having babies.
So the main point there is you need to start having more babies. All right, let's go. Come on. You guys are slacking. Bill, you did your share. I'll give you that. All right. On any last questions? Mayor Lucan, you're doing your share. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Well, again, I really appreciate all you guys coming out. I think we have a great school district because we have all of you guys in the district and a great staff. So, and thanks for our partnerships, Coy, with the chamber, and all the rest of you. Thanks for coming, especially you. What grade are you in?
I'm in 3rd grade and I like your tie.
Oh my God, she's a plant. That's my daughter. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, thanks a lot, everybody. Make sure you get your handouts on the way out. Bye-bye. Nice to meet you. What school do you go to?
Rancho.
Rancho. All right. Thanks. I know. Watch out. Hi.